know me, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. So I called that
Yep.
team because I tracked it down. I knew who it was. And I called the head coach and we had a candid conversation.
For
We were
you.
really cool. And he said, Prime, that never happened. He said, matter of fact, it was a great interview. We all walked out of there saying, dang, this kid got it.
Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Dallas Cowboy. Shedeur Sanders had a 1.7% turnover-worthy play rate in the world of college football, yet Deion Sanders has to continue to defend him from baseless lies from ESPN and other NFL media sources. Today, it's actually interesting. Deion Sanders went on with Skip Bayless, of all people, and with Stephen A. and him going crazy, it seems like Skip Bayless is in the positive light when it comes to sports media, but it doesn't stop Deion Sanders for calling out the lies, which is just draft day lies. He gets on there and talks about the quarterback. He did that on NFL Network we talked about. Now he's on Skip Bayless and says he followed up. So we're going to talk about that. Hop in there, listen to what he has to say with Skip, specifically with Shedeur, and then there's a few more updates about Shedeur and his workouts, man. I appreciate y'all watching these videos. Let's hop right into it to this clip that just dropped recently. And then
you know me, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. So I called that team because I tracked it down. I knew who it was. And I called the head coach and we had a candid conversation. Because
Did you really? Good for you.
We were really cool. And he said, Prime, that never happened. He said, matter of fact, it was a great interview. We all walked out of there saying, dang, this kid got it. I said, yeah, but this guy on your staff lied and said it did. So you need to check him. And he did. Shedeur has told me, he's talked to me intently about all the visits he's had with all the teams. So I know where his heart is. I know where he wants to go. If it's New York, it's New York. If it's Tennessee, if it's Cleveland, if it's still the Raiders, if it's New Orleans, if it's any of those teams that are seeking a quarterback, I'm happy with it, man, because I know what he's going to do to the organization. I know what he's going to do.
And now here is Deion just a week ago, basically calling that person out and claiming that, yeah, hey, I know who you is, man.
And to still continuously shine. We like to call that stuff out, though. I know who it is. You're going to make me call him out. Yeah, you know what team, yeah.
We don't
you got to understand it. I know, but don't make me pull behind the curtains to step in that thing.
Hey, and Deion Sanders said he was going to do it and pull behind the curtains, and it looks like he pulled behind the curtains. And going back to what kind of sparked all of this, now a quarterback coach, and this is reported from Josiah Anderson, a quarterback coach from an unnamed team with a top pick in the 2025 NFL draft, criticized Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders for being arrogant and brash via team interviews. And of course, you had the whole Todd McShay situation where there was reports of, in more detail, the fact that, you know, in certain teams where Shedeur felt like he wasn't going to be picked, he gave off an aura or an air that, it just, like, it's not going to really matter. And to that, I say, I mean, does it really matter? Like, I got to be honest with y'all. Like, why are we so shocked that somebody who's been around the lights, the glamour, the glitz, and all this other stuff, his father was not just in the NFL, is renowned as one of the greatest NFL players of all time. So I don't know who y'all thought or who y'all expected him to be. I think he's quite humble from the beginnings that he had. He grew up on a plantation in Texas. He grew up with his coach being his father his entire life, but he still gives a bit of perspective and a bit of grace, I feel like, in a lot of his interviews. And we're going to get down to that because I just have proof. I brought receipts. I got proof of multiple people in his accounts, and we've talked about that. But let's slow it down. Let's hear Deion Sanders and Skip Bayless talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the pro that is Shedeur Sanders.
Speaking of your quarterback son, Shedeur, real quick, as you were talking about him playing early on, how early did you see something special in that young man? Can you remember a time?
When he went to play quarterback, he started off as playing defensive end. He and Shiloh were defensive ends. They would just cause havoc. You know, at that age, everybody's running the sweep. Okay, everybody's running the sweep. Everybody's running to the sideline. They run the L drill to the sideline, down the sideline. So you put your best athletes on the side to just keep everything in. You maintain it because nobody wants to go up the middle. I knew early on when he started playing quarterback, he was special. We called him grown because he's always had the nature of an adult. Yep. He's always been kind of ahead of his time. He's always seen things that others couldn't see at his age. He's always been a real professional type young man that got it. The work ethic, the verbiage, the articulation to your teammates, the taking control of the huddle back then, even in youth. He was checking off at 7 years old, changing plays that I didn't even have to. Like, and you knew. I remember Shiloh, they both played quarterback, but Shiloh was always 2 years older. And it came a time when we got to high school, I said, Shiloh, look, man, it's over for you, buddy. It's over for your quarterback. It's time for your brother. Man, that ain't right, Dad. That ain't right. I said, no. I'm going to work with you, and I'm going to teach you how to play corner and DB, and you're going to really be good. If you just shut up and listen, I got you. But it's time for your brother, okay? And we went at it about that. But he accepted it sooner or later, and he blossomed as a DB, and life is life.
Yeah. So
that's tough, man.
Describe Shedeur as a.
I do want to yap just for a second because I get on here and I do a lot of praising of Deion Sanders, the athlete, the coach, the public speaker. I'm not gonna do no Stephen A. Smith and judge him as a father, but as an athlete, just in the shoes of Shiloh Sanders, I think my respect for him grows. Like, Deion Sanders was a man being realistic, and he saw that clearly Shedeur was the quarterback, and clearly Shiloh, if he was this elite quarterback, he would probably still play some quarterback or do whatever, or you know what I'm saying. But I don't think somebody who knows football as well as Deion Sanders knows football would have made that decision without it being the right decision. However, Shiloh being this middle kid, like that is the most middle child thing I've ever heard in my life. So to all the people who have brothers and sisters, I only have younger ones. So, I don't know it as much. My lady always gets on me about being a middle child or this or that, and kind of how that works and kind of how that family dynamic is. So I think it's interesting. Even back to the high school days, Shiloh had to kind of find a way to, suck up his pride and get after it. But back to Shiloh.
Quarterback to somebody who's never watched him play. How would you describe him?
Smart. Extremely accurate, bona fide leader, studies his butt off, so he knows you're not going to surprise him with too much. You're not, especially halfway through the first quarter or second, third drive. He's probably had you figured out already. Wants to bring everyone together, really have it cohesive. Don't get flustered. You're never going to catch him out of character. He's not going to yell and scream and all that. It's times that he's thrown interceptions, and I said, "What was that? What is wrong with you? What was that?" And he'll walk by. He said, "Look at the tape. Just go look at the tape." And I go look at the tape, and someone busted a route. We got two posts coming from both sides. But he don't say that. He's not going to go into the press conference and throw someone up under the bus. Like, what was that? You never, because I know how accurate he is. I mean, one game he threw a pick down, I think, 5-yard line or whatever. And I'm like, what? We can't do that. We already have 3. I told him at an early age, we got 3. If we got the field goal, don't risk that on a chance. You got to be knowing and accurate. And he missed and overthrew the guy. And I'm like, man, what is going on? Check the tape. Take the tablet on the sideline. Center blows up. He's on his back. He rolls over to the quarterback. He can't step in his throw. So the ball sails because he almost got his knees blown out. Never said nothing about it. But when you check it, you see what transpired. But that's just, I know him like a book because he's not going to miss that way. He's too accurate for it. But
and
never
one other attribute, that always caught my eye. Your son is as tough a college quarterback as I ever witnessed.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, Skip. Why is Skip making sense? You know why? Because that video I made yesterday, and I told y'all Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Dallas Cowboy. People were like, well, Dak Prescott has no trade clause. No, Jerry Jones don't care about that. Man, Jerry Jones will go in there and rip that contract to shreds. He don't care. You got Deion Sanders chilling with Skippy Bayless. Both of them fluffing up. Look, I'm not gonna let you. Look, I love Deion. Shedeur. This is so good. I'm only gonna wish greatness, but I'm gonna call it like it is and not like it was. Y'all in here marketing Shedeur Sanders. Y'all had a 10-minute segment. We gonna watch it all. But I gotta take breaks to let y'all know when the glaze is astronomical because there's an agenda. like I tell y'all with every single draft video, like hey, they gonna lie, right? To try to get him in a position. Well, Deion Sanders, how about he spin and market to the biggest Dallas Cowboys fan in the media right now? I know Skip he's fading. I know that. I know he's not as relevant as he once was. But again, the way that Stephen A. Smith is absolutely throwing his connections down the drain when it comes to LeBron James, I don't know how much longer he has left. So maybe this is time for Skip Bayless to push a little Cowboys propaganda. Deion pushes Shedeur propaganda. Okay, and everybody's hot because he don't want Shedeur to go to the Cowboys. Guys, pay attention. It's a lie. But continue.
Talking about taking a beating and jumping right back up and throwing another rocket right on target.
Sorry, this is what I was talking about. I'll cut off Skip 1,000 times. Yeah. In all seriousness, people talk about arrogance, all this other stuff. Like, one of the most consistent things from Shedeur is his toughness in the pocket, how many hits he's taken, the way that he's able to throw with pressure in his face. Some of his biggest passes are with these big mongoloids, with hands in the face. So, really appreciate it. This is actually a real good take. That's why I went on my tangent, because I'm like, it's like he actually watched football or something. That's crazy, Skip. Okay.
You raised him right, and you raised him tough. And I know he grew up with some money, and he's had some money at Colorado. But listen, tough. I'm talking about physically and mentally tough. Wouldn't you agree?
Not only that, just prepared for the moment. Yeah. Always prepared for the moment on the field or off the field. You're not going to get him saying nothing stupid, media-wise. And they try to flip it sometimes. And just like when he got hurt in Nebraska, and he had to go in and get checked from the doctors. I don't know if he had a concussion. We had two players going at the same time, but you only heard the story about one of them. No, they literally left because they came and checked with me. I said, go in and get checked out. I gave him the go ahead, and it was through a timeout or whatever. But it's like, stop, man, stop. I guess just because the last name is Sanders, you got to attack, and that don't make sense because we've never attacked anybody in our lives. We just always try to be a blessing.
Okay. Speaking of attacking, Josina Anderson reported that there was some quarterback coach of a top 7 picking team
and that was a lie.
That after an interview with Shedeur said he was brash and arrogant. And Josina reported in his media interview he was the opposite of brash and arrogant.
Yeah.
So how much did that anger his father?
It didn't anger me, but you know me, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. So I called that team because I tracked it down. I knew who it was. And I called the head coach, and we had a candid conversation.
Did you really? Good for you.
We were really cool. And he said, Prime, that never happened. He said, matter of fact, it was a great interview. We all walked out of there saying, dang, this kid got it. That never happened. I said, yeah, but this guy on your staff lied and said it did. So you need to check him. And he did. Checking, but it never happened.
Okay.
So you never know if somebody's getting compensated from another agent to try to down ours so another guy
looks It's possible.
Yeah, because you got to understand, like, how can I have the only 2 players in the draft, going in the draft that are criticized and critiqued? Travis can't do this, he can't do that, he's not this, he's not that, he's injured, and Shedeur can't. What about all the other guys?
Exactly.
What about all the other guys? So my guys are the only guys that are flawed. What about everybody else? And we don't pick and choose, and we don't want any of those guys talked about negatively. I'm proud that Shedeur came to the defense of the guy from Ohio State because they were jumping on him. He's like, man, the kid just won a national championship. How you guys jumping on him? He came to his defense because that's who he really is. He just met the guy at the combine. He just met. He's the only kid that we heard about not participating at the combine. You know how many kids didn't participate at the combine? But you only hear about mine.
All right. How much does that have to do with a father who was once known as Neon Deion Primetime?
There's a lot. Skip, this is what it is, my man. And I'm going to break this down to you gently as possible. People are tired of us winning. not just games, but winning in life. It's like, okay, the dude played 2 sports. He did this, he did that. He's on commercials, he did endorsements. Now he really in television. Then he reinvented himself, and he comes back as a coach and a successful one. Okay, that's enough because we've been dealing with him since '88. Now I got to deal with his kids, and they're good too. No, and they handsome, and they articulate, and they savvy. No, I don't.
Come on, man. Come on. I don't care. I know I made a little break and I talked about how this is propaganda to push Shedeur up. But how, if you have a father in your life, if you got kids in your life, that just make you smile. I'm sorry. You telling me your dad just going on live talk about my sons. Don't forget Shiloh, because he never forget Shiloh. Hey, my sons, they're handsome. You know what I'm saying? They articulate. They fresh. They paid. They good at what they do. Hey, man, I know there's a lot of craziness in the world. I know it might seem like a very, very small thing, but the real reason why they really hate you, Deion Sanders, is because of all of those things and the fact that big thing right there, a black man who speaks positive, who speaks love, who speaks affirmations into his young black sons, who do nothing to nobody. I know y'all want to get at me about the Shiloh Sanders situation. Oh, you mean the thing that happened when he was 16 in high school, and that security guard, the full-grown security guard, couldn't detain a 16-year-old, so he sued Deion Sanders and Shedeur because he knew that they had money? Yeah, we could talk about that one incident. Sure. Yeah, you want to talk about Shedeur Sanders putting his watch in the air? I'm sorry that boy got a nice watch. I apologize. Or what? You want to lie and talk about the quarterback situation with Colorado State, even though Colorado State was talking that nasty business to Deion, and on top of that, Shedeur shook every other person's hand, even the head coach that was talking crazy about his father. Y'all not going, nah, man. Y'all, that's what y'all not going to do, man. Y'all not going to come at and act like we don't see what's happening. You feel me? But I will, again, because, again, we being honest in this episode. He said something where he was like, the only people who are getting criticism are my guys. It's like, nah, we just did a video, and I think that's going to come out soon. We just did a video on Will Campbell, right? We talked about even Jackson Dart is starting to get some Will Howard when he was throwing, obviously because Shedeur came and stood up for him. But let's get back on topic. And the main topic of this video is the fact that I appreciate LeBron and Deion Sanders. This is kind of a crazy parallel when you think about it, but both of these guys come on to different types of independent media, not the general. Now I know there's people who are that have a figurehold in traditional media. Pat McAfee with College Game Day, obviously. Skip Bayless, obviously, with the long history with Fox and ESPN, right? These might be traditional sources, however, untraditional ways of doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's dope to see that there's a way or an avenue that these people can come out and they could just, hey man, I'm gonna protect mine. I'm gonna protect my young kids, man, and I'm gonna set the record straight because the record needs to be straight. This is arrogant to me. This is the arrogant guy that y'all talking about? The dude that's shaking everybody's hand? That shows up to this DNVR. These are just fans of Colorado. He shows up to their podcast, probably gave them one of their biggest podcasts of the year. Make sure he talks to all the people. I don't want to hear it, man. I don't want to hear lies, man. Shout out to Deion. Shout out to LeBron. Stephen A. video coming soon, man. I appreciate y'all watching these videos. Like if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy college football content, draft content, everything else in between, man. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. You know you're great. So continue to be great. Peace.